I'm William, and on this episode of Weekends with William, I'm going to show you an introduction to Science Edition of Weekends with William. Now what I'm going to do on Science Edition is I'm going to do science experiments and also explain why they happen. And on this episode of Science Edition, I'm going to show you how to make this one experiment called Elephant Toothpaste. And it's an experiment when you pour a few chemicals into a bottle, and then you pour a catalyst in, and it's what starts a chemical reaction. You pour the catalyst in, and the entire bottle then suddenly starts to squirt foam everywhere. And now what you're going to need for this experiment is some active dry yeast, which I bought at the store for about $3 or $4. And you're also going to need some food coloring. I'm going to use red. And then also you're going to need a little cup or container that has 3 tablespoons of water in it. And you're going to need a measuring cup and also some dish soap, just any kind of dish soap, and the main ingredient, hydrogen peroxide. Now, I recommend using the 30% that's found in hair care products, and it's 30%, and I'm using 3% for today. And you're also going to need a bottle. I'm using a 1 liter bottle with a little hole in the top, and I wrapped the cap in duct tape. And you're also going to need a tablespoon and teaspoon measuring equipment. So now, what you're going to do first is you're going to take your hydrogen peroxide that I poured into this Powerade bottle to keep, and we're going to pour until we've gone up to the 1/2 or 3/4 of a cup mark. Now, once we've got 3/4 of a cup, we're going to take our 1 liter bottle, or any kind of bottle for that matter, but pour it in. Now, this helps if you have a funnel, but if you want, it's optional. Funnel is optional. And so now once we have our peroxide in here, we're going to take our food coloring and maybe about 8 or 10 drops, or somewhere close to that, so you can just guess. So then, once you have that, we're going to just swirl it to mix, and then we're going to take our secret ingredient, which is dish soap. This is $1 that I got from the dollar store. We're going to add about maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of soap. Yeah, like that. And then swirl it around some more. And it's going to get all mixed up like that. Now we can set that aside, and then we're going to start our catalyst, which is what's going to start the reaction. Now you're going to need about 3 tablespoons of water in this container, and or in my case, I'm just going to go with, let's see, a tablespoon or 3 teaspoons. And then you're going to get some of your yeast, or you can use a packet of yeast if you want. But so get a teaspoon. If you're using 3 teaspoons of water, then pour in 1 teaspoon of yeast. But if you're using 3 tablespoons of water, then you use 1 tablespoon of yeast. So anyway, once that's done, then you're gonna mix it up, and it's going to start looking a little disgusting, actually. It also smells kind of a little bit like beer, a little bit. It's gonna start to smell like beer, because when yeast is combined with water, it actually creates a gas called carbon dioxide, and that's actually the stuff that we breathe out. Like when we breathe out, that's carbon dioxide gas that we have. But anyway, once we have our yeast all mixed up, and now it has to be really mixed up real well, then the next part here you're going to have to do outside here, because it may get messy, so you can either do that or do it in the tub. So let's bring these two items outside and see what happens. Hi, I'm William and we're back outside here where I have my yeast mixture and my peroxide mixture right here. And as you can see, I'm wearing a coat because it's obviously very cold out here, and that's because, I mean, there's snow on the ground. And so anyway, right back here. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to pour it in, and then you're quickly going to screw on the top. You see it happen almost immediately. If it's going a little too slow, then you can also give it a little shake. And then eventually, the reaction occurs. And look at that. And I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's actually steaming right now. And it's an exothermic reaction, and this stuff, now I'm only doing this because this is 3%. You could not do this with 30% because it's far too dangerous, but this is a nice exothermic reaction. Now here's something else interesting. If you plug the hole and then let go, like a little stream shoots up then. And so isn't that cool? Now what happens here? Now this is what happens. This is why it happens. The peroxide here, when the yeast touched it, the peroxide is H2O2. That's its chemical formula. And water is H2O. So it's like water but with an extra oxygen molecule. And when you add the peroxide, it takes the oxygen out and it bubbles up in the soapy water, or just soap. And the food coloring is there just for looks. The food coloring, there's nothing magic about the food coloring. I mean, you don't even need the food coloring. It's only optional to make it look cool. Well, that's all we have for today. Make sure to check out back next week for another episode of Weekends with William. Until next time, make sure to find your inner maker.